heart of South Philly. Let's go see what the people have got to say. I'm ready to roll, baby.
Now listen here, Dutch. The Mets and the Cowboys, they suck.
1, 2, 3, go Birds! Go Birds! What we got? 302BIRDS, Gino Stinks. Go Birds! Oh my gosh, chat. Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
Your favorite Chicagoan. Go Phils.
As always, God bless. Go Birds.
Get your water ice and soft pretzels ready because you are now tuned into a 302BIRDS podcast experience. Proudly presented by TickPick, Nick's Pizza, El Diablo Burritos, and Klondike Kate's on the heart of Main Street. Let's take it to the show.
There's not many things that make your boy's heart wholesome, but one of them is when you take a trip for an away game of your hometown team, and they don't only win the game, but they just absolutely dismantle, beat the shit out of the team, show no mercy, and embarrass them on their home field. Not to mention, and KJ and Jack will attest to it, it was a green army out there at the Giants Stadium. What's up, everybody? Dalton from 302BIRDS got Ashley, Jack, Ballpark Tommy, and KJ McCoy on the mics joining me tonight. If you guys are in here, be sure to like it up, share the video, all the good stuff to get this thing rolling. We got a jam-packed show for you guys, talking about the Sixers season opener, talking about the Flyers' early struggles, but also some of their young talent and how they can kind of balance the two. Saquon Barkley's revenge game, which I kind of alluded to earlier in the beatdown. 8 sacks is freaking nuts. Shout out to Nakobe Dean. We're going to get to that too. Some schedule changes, the flex changes, the brothers battle upcoming this week between Sidney Brown and his brother, who is a Bengal, and then the Bengals preview. So it should be a pretty fun show. Let's get into, actually, Jack's weekly call-ups.
What do I want when I'm in the state of Delaware? Of course, El Diablo Burritos. Customer service always is serving your food with a smile on their face, asking how your day is. Their food is phenomenal as well. Their burritos are out of this world, one of the best burritos in town. Their queso is phenomenal. Their burrito bowls are amazing as well. When you're in and around Delaware, stop by your local El Diablo Burritos and tell them that 302BIRDS sent you. God bless. Go Birds.
Thank you to El Diablo Burritos for that sponsorship. Tonight's call, we have TJ, a fan favorite. How you doing tonight, TJ?
Hey, how you guys doing? 302BIRDS fam, always a pleasure to be on.
I love having you. What do you have for us tonight?
Yeah, well, I know tonight's the Sixers opener here. Out Paul George and Joel Embiid. So in my mind, that suggests we're thinking ahead, if possibly we're load managing. So I wanted to ask you guys: is this the year where we finally break out of the second round?
Nope. I'm going to say this from until it's proved wrong.
Unanimous.
We are never getting past the second round. This team is also plagued with injuries, as we've seen within the last 2 weeks. Jaden Daniels, or not Jaden Daniels. Wow, that's Commanders. Jaden, who's the guy that from the Duke that we just drafted?
Jared McCain.
Jared McCain. My fault. He's out. Well, I don't know how long he's out for, but yeah, this team is not promising at all. I mean, they have giving us the workaround. We thought we had a good team last year, and we got bumped out the first round. Year before that, we were bumped out the second round. So I have no confidence in this team, and I really don't care about this team until they prove me wrong. My expectations, as it kind of worked last year with the Flyers, is I'm not expecting anything from this team. So hopefully they'll prove me wrong. But other than that, that's all I gotta say with these Sixers.
I'll tell you this. This team, I beg to differ. I think this team does have talent. I mean, we kind of talked about it before the show. This team does have depth. They really do. I mean, they got a lot of great role players. I mean, you got Caleb Martin, you got Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, who's going to be in the. I mean, you're going to see him a lot because if this load management thing is true, and that they are not going to be playing Embiid as much as we want them to, you're going to be seeing Drummond like averaging like 15 boards a night, which is pretty good. But I'll tell you one thing: for a team, even though they are losing right now, I'm watching the game. They're losing by at least, I think, like 15 or something like that. They seem like they still do have something brewing. I feel like, I mean, as we said before, no. Do I think they're going to make it past the second round? Yeah, no, I don't think so. But I do feel like this team does have some depth to it for sure. I really do. I mean, but I think that they're going to improve, and they're going to probably break our hearts again, but we're just going to have to wait and see. I really kind of do hope that they not get in trouble, but kind of stopped by the NBA telling them, okay, you can't have Embiid sitting out for this many games. I mean, we're paying him so much money right now for a 4-year contract. So, I mean, he should be on the floor, but I mean, as long as he's not hurt, he should be on the floor.
They're just hurt constantly. They're going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt. Somebody looks at him funny in the playoffs. He's made of glass. I'm over it. We're never getting past anything. Paul George is a constant playoff disappointment, and we signed somebody who's going to be a playoff disappointment. Should have never gotten rid of Jimmy Butler, or we're just doomed. It's never going to happen. And our one good, solid year was the year Kawhi hit the shot. We're done for.
Yikes. All right. Well, a little I think you guys are a little pessimistic there, honestly. I love some of these off-season signings. I love having Drummond back, adding to the depth. I don't know, guys. I got to disagree. I think the heartbreak comes in the Eastern Conference Finals for us this year.
So here's my thing.
Here's
my thing. So, and this is not a well-liked take, but I think for this team to be successful, we got to move on from Joel Embiid because he just, yes, he is a generational talent. Yeah, I know we signed him for another 3 or 5 years. But I mean, he got MVP 2 years ago, and what he do in the playoffs didn't show up. So I just think we need to build this team, and I've been saying this constantly, build this team around Maxey because Joel Embiid is not going to get us to the promised land at all. So we need to figure something out. Granted, we're kind of stuck now, but I think for this team to be successful is by moving on from Joel Embiid.
I really like this question, TJ. I thought it was great because I was listening to WIP today in the car ride. They were talking a lot about the Sixers situation, and somebody who Spike Eskin, who I know is maybe not the most popular person as far as takes go, I will give Spike credit. Spike knows his stuff about the Sixers. He does know about this. And he said this is, in his opinion, the best roster that the Sixers have had since that 2021 team before Simmons left and they broke that up. When I thought about it that way, it is maybe there's a slim chance of it for me because I've pretty much lost all hope in all Philly sports teams. And I think everybody else has too. But maybe the Sixers know what they're doing with sort of this load management, like you guys were saying. But if they get some kind of repercussion for it, or if it bites them in the ass, they're going to end up looking very, very stupid. Which is actually a good segue into our next segment, which, TJ, you're our guest. We'll let you take it first. One of the questions they also asked on WIP, and credit to them too, with Spike, Ike, and Fritz, is it disappointing to you that you have both of these guys and they aren't playing tonight in the season opener, TJ?
Well, I mean, yeah, if I were a fan and I bought tickets tonight, I would certainly be upset about that. I mean, you come to the home opener, you expect the two stars to ball out, display that chemistry they've worked on in the offseason. So I could certainly understand how people would be disappointed, in the decision there, assuming, if these guys are hurt, they're hurt. You obviously are disappointed about that, but you can't be angry about that. But then I do understand people being upset if they're sitting out, not hurt, some kind of load management. I get that. But at the same time, I feel like it's a forward thinking move. Just now, too, a bunch of you guys referenced the fact that the team's always hurt, glass bones, paper skin, all that. But at the end of the day, moves like this are an attempt to mitigate that issue that we've been having at the playoff time. So I don't mind the move so much because I understand why they would do it. I guess is what I should have said in so many words.
And it makes sense too, is the one thing I want to say. I like that you say it too, TJ, because once again, credit to WIP. They basically fed me all of my Sixers propaganda for tonight that I swore I wouldn't buy into the Sixers. And that's being, you can't say to somebody like Embiid, hey, go focus on a championship, do this and that, and your primary focus shouldn't be on winning MVP. Your primary focus shouldn't be on being, one of the best centers ever. Your primary focus should be on bringing us, the fans, a championship. And like TJ just alluded to and said, what they're doing tonight is an attempt to mitigate injury. So it is doing that.
Yeah, I think they're trying to really do something different. They're trying to go with a new perspective and really trying to prove something that they haven't done in a while. And that's going past the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe going to the finals, but we'll see. It just seems like they really are trying to do the load management, which, hey, if it works, go for it. But I mean, I'd rather them honestly just have all the talent they have, bring it out there and play everybody when they are healthy. But I mean, reality is, though, and Kevin Garnett said this recently because he was talking about the whole situation. It's just not the old NBA we used to know and love. The era that he played in, I feel like that was like where you saw players every single day. They gave it their heart every time they played, which I feel like there are still players who still do that. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, I feel like, is a guy who does that. Anthony Edwards is a guy who does that. There's still some guys who do that, and they go out there and they play every game like it's their last. So I think there is that kind of noted for sure. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But, yeah, it's not the old NBA. So you got some players who are going to be a little bit more selfish than they used to be, but it is what it is.
I think Spike Axton also brought up this point weeks ago. Oh, and let's face it. I thought it was a good point. If they're going to do load management throughout the season, I think what people are mostly pissed about is the Sixers said for weeks that no, we're not going to do load management in the home opener. And what did they do? They did load management. Paul George is a different situation. He's actually hurt. That's not load management. They're doing load management with Embiid on night one. And, I get it. I want him to be fully healthy for the playoffs. But just have him play tonight, and then we can do the load management thing the rest of the season. And for the home opener, remember, what's our last image before tonight that we had in that Wells Fargo Center? Bunch of Knicks fans celebrating, burning his jersey in that stadium. Oh, wouldn't you want to erase that memory? My last memory still of Joel Embiid in that stadium is him hanging his head low, watching another team beat us on our home court in the playoffs, failing to get past the second round, and Knicks fans getting to cheer and laugh in our face yet again. Another rival getting to laugh in our face yet again, whether it's the Knicks or it's the Celtics. So,
or in baseball, the Mets. I mean, it's just
baseball's we got the Mets. It's Eagles can't beat Dallas in the playoffs anymore. Or what are we doing? And Flyers can't beat the Penguins. I want to be optimistic, but
yeah,
they wanted to then the Sixers ownership also today came out and said they're not going to replace any housing in Chinatown when they build their new stadium. They're literally not putting any housing now. They're taking away any part that would help the city. So what positive thing do the Sixers have for the city of Philadelphia? What positive thing? They're probably still getting it blown out by more than 10 right now.
Yeah, it kind of is embarrassing that Saquon Barkley rang the bell tonight, and the Sixers are playing like this right now. Again, it's opening game. Hopefully it'll get better, but from what I've known these Sixers for the past couple years, this team can start off a little slow, they pick it back up, and then they just kind of get to the playoffs, barely get in, and then they just fold. So, I mean, there's not much we can do about this team. And granted, it's not moving the team at all. It's just trying to start new because we're not going to be doing anything for the city by the way we played the past couple of years. Sorry,
Truth,
TJ. I know.
truth.
I really put a damper on the mood. I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, you two are negative Nellies compared to TJ.
I will say this. I've been the
I know,
most
he's
positive,
all
right,
smiles,
TJ?
he wants to be a nice guy, and then there's me.
Yes,
I've been the
KJ
most
most positive. KJ most positive by default.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, certainly some less than optimistic takes, but I appreciate that. That's okay. I can totally understand it, given all the heartbreak we've experienced across the board since 2022. I mean, geez, the times are tough. You're not wrong about that.
One last
For
thing, and
sure,
we can
for
move
sure.
on. I
Go ahead,
cannot
Jack.
stand the NBA right now with Bronny James and LeBron James. That was just they were sucking his dick last night. I was watching the game. I was watching the game, and
Can you say that? Is Bronny an adult? No, I'm kidding. Get it?
no, it sucks because I think LeBron was mic'd up last night, and he said he dished a pass out to Bronny James, and he just fucking missed the three-point shot. So I think Bronny James is a fraud, and I think if his dad wasn't LeBron James, Bronny James will not be in the NBA. That's all I got to say.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. 100%. He wouldn't be drafted if his dad wasn't LeBron. There's a guy on the Sixers right now, Edwards. Is it Justin Edwards? I think that's who it is. And he should have been drafted in front of Bronny James. Bronny James should be in the G League right now. Heck, he should probably be in the YMCA league.
Still.
In the YMCA league or something like that. That's where he should be playing. He shouldn't be in the NBA. I know it's a great feel story. I know Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Sr. were there. They wanted to see that. But obviously, as Jack said before, it seemed like they were doing a lot of, what? Yeah.
Well, it is what it is.
Yep.
It's Bronny. Who cares? He's not our problem. He's not our thing to worry about. TJ, I want to thank you for coming on here. We appreciate it as always.
TJ
For giving the Sixers
McConnell.
coverage, and hope to see you soon, bro.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, guys.
Yep.
Always,
See you, TJ.
always take care. Cool. So that is all we'll do for Sixers talk, just because I can't fathom to talk about the Sixers much. It's been crazy that have been enjoying talking about the Flyers more. But the way that this year's been going, and that's crazy because the Flyers are not much better, especially tonight. But they feel like they have more hope because they haven't let us down as often, maybe. And that may change as the regular season goes on. But as far as things go for the Flyers right now, I mean, shut out in their home opener. They play tonight at the Washington Capitals, and then they'll have a little bit of a break. They're going to need this break until Saturday and Sunday to kind of go out and reset, get their mind right, and figure out what the hell do they need to do to get some wins. Get some wins. Take it game by game. Get your head on straight, because this is the complete opposite of the way that they started out last year, which is a little bit concerning to me, but it's also not about the way you start. It's about the way you finish, especially in hockey. Playoff hockey is a sport where whoever's the hottest team can really make a run. We talk about any given Sunday in the NFL, that quote, anybody can beat anybody. That really applies in hockey for sure. So Their early struggles are a little bit concerning to me, but I do think that this break they'll get their head on straight, and they got to figure out what they want to do with some of their young talent, which we'll get to here in a second next, like Jet Luchenko, if they want to send him back down to the OHL or not. But
AHL.
oh, I'm sorry. But ballpark, how are you feeling about the whole thing?
Go Michkov.
Yeah.
Mitch Gov.
That's about it. This team stinks. I kind of was hopeful. Like they ended the season bad last year, but like they played over their heads most of this. Like they overachieved most of the year. If that makes any sense. Like they were supposed to be like stellar dwellers the whole season, and they like made a push for a playoff spot. So they played above their heads like all year last year. This year, they won game 1. And now it's like, are they going to score a goal? All right, any day now. So, I don't know. It's kind of disappointing to say, hey, that they're this lifeless early on. But Michkov looks good, which, I don't know, gives me a little hope. But other than that, they stink.
Yeah, they need to build around him for sure. And it just seems like he's like the only really, I guess you could say, bright spot of this team right now. Because obviously, I mean, I think they lost, what is it, like 3 in a row now, Tom? Or is it 4 in a row? They've
Something
lost.
like that.
They've been on a losing streak. And I know it's early, but yeah, I mean, the only hype spot you can really think of is Mishkov. I mean, like that's the only guy that's literally keeping us going. So yeah, I mean, the rest of the team, I mean, they could do what they could do, but it just really depends. Like, I mean, if Mishkov can really, like, he's got to have this team on his back. That's how it seems like.
Go Michkov.
Yeah, so go Mishkov. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's early on in the season. We didn't expect much out of this team to begin with. I mean, I don't think we should worry about it. Granted, it sucks because we expected a different turnout beginning the season, but like everyone said, we got Michkov still. We still have a long season. So, you know, again, losing these, but I think it'll be fine.
The goal this season is to build up these guys. They're not going to win many games this year. I think they played above their heads last year. They have a lot of young talent. I don't think they're going to win many games this year. And I think as long as these guys look better by the end of the season than they do at the beginning of the season, that's all it really matters, showing that they improved. Right now, it looks like they all regressed, unfortunately. But if they can show improvement, it's like half the battle, really, with these guys. I don't know what to make of their goalies. Both of them haven't looked great, but I also don't think their defense, like the defense playing in front of them, is great either. So it's like hard to judge. So I don't know, but there's always next year.
How about some of the young talent, Tom? What should they do with some of that?
Who, like Michkov? Develop them.
And Jet, like, would you keep Jet up? I know that the Flyers flat out said they're going to do what's best for, quote, his long-term development. But
That's
I mean,
they should do.
Would you
like if they think he should stay up, stay up. If he should go back down, go back down. Whatever's going to get him more skating time, because that's how he's going to develop. If he needs more skating time, send him back down. I'm like. They're not going to win anything this year. Even if they make the playoffs, they'll be like that team that has house money, so they could be dangerous in the playoffs. But, like, I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. Like, I think, like, this team being a legit playoff team is still 2 or 3 years away. So don't make it a lost season by having guys stay up and they're not developing. I'd rather him be developed in 2 to 3 years when I need a guy scoring goals for me in the playoffs and putting Sidney Crosby and his old ass through a glass.
There it is. I mean, I can't wait for the day and age when the Flyers are a relevant team. And well, they're always going to be a relevant team. I take that
They're
back.
a relevant Delco team. Delco gets excited for the Flyers.
The Delco Flyers tonight, Dutch. I got my
walk around
tickets.
Philly. Nobody's that excited about the Flyers. I walk
Well,
around Delco.
No, there are a couple people in Philly.
Delco.
There's a couple nutcase, all Philly fans everywhere you go.
Sure.
That no matter what, like probably myself, I have the game on still, and the Sixers game right now I'm talking about, and it's not pretty. But
it's not.
The main thing is, I think that the Flyers are in a way better position than they were a couple years back. I don't know that I could say the same thing about the Sixers. I don't know that I could necessarily say the same thing about the Phillies. They were talking about it on WIP today, and I don't think the Phillies 7 years ago were where they are today, but the Phillies also had time on their side when they first signed Bryce Harper 7 years ago. Now everybody's about to be in their 30s on this team. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Don't worry. It's not another debate we need to get into. It's just a point I'm illustrating. I can see Tom's face in the background. He's making a face. But the main thing is to keep it on Flyer subject. I do think that the Flyers actually are doing the right things with getting some younger players. That seems to be a theme in all sports. Get younger. Younger is better. That's one of the things I think that the Sixers do a bad job of. I forgot to bring that up during my Sixers point. Sixers average age right now is 27.74. They're like the fifth oldest average in the NBA. Not so good in my opinion. Say what you want. Age is also experience too. I think any good team should have a balance. But back to the Flyers. I do like Tom's point. Do what's best for skating time, which I think you guys know your answer already with Jet Luchenko then. And he's probably going to go back down unless some kind of injury happens and they need him to come back up. So thank you for that, Tom, hitting on the ice. I apologize. I forgot to hit KJ's court. Well, TJ was here, but want to thank KJ for that segment too. So we will hit that right now, just for the hell of it.
You are now listening to KJ Court, proudly presented by the Sleeper.
And
There's the lowered rim.
Hey.
It isn't. Whoever said that? Whoever said it was lower rim? That was 10 foot.
KJ 6'5". Point being, if you guys haven't, you guys can play fantasy basketball and dunk on a 7-foot rim, a 10-foot rim, an 11-foot rim, whatever you want.
Or a little tyke hoop. You never know.
Yeah, on a little tyke hoop.
Like what Tommy does. Tommy dunks on little tyke hoops. That's what he does.
I like the little tykes analogy, though, because that was what Saquon Barkley was doing to the Giants players in New York. I mean, he made them look like little kids. We made their whole roster look like little kids. Going into the stadium, I think all three of us, Jack, KJ, and I were there. We got a blog coming soon for that. We had a feeling that this was going to be an ass whooping. I don't think, and everybody knew Saquon Barkley was going to get the ball, but I don't think we all knew that it was like going to be, could have been his most career yards ever if he decided, well, I want to be a selfless player, which he is a selfless player. He gave the ball to the teammates. Everybody's seen the clip now. But man, oh man, was that a wholesome Eagles win. Like, that was awesome to watch. That was probably the most calming game the whole year. Like, I think Tom actually might have cracked a smile that game.
It felt weird. I didn't know what to do. Like the third quarter, we were up big in the third quarter, and I was like, "Do I relax?" But if I relax,
I'm gonna screw over the
Giants
city.
are gonna start to come back, and I'm gonna get pissed. Or do I just enjoy it? Like, what do I do?
What did you do?
I relaxed.
What did you do, Tom? What did you do, man?
I relaxed.
Relax, chillax, dog. That's right.
Yeah.
Ride the wave. Just rode the wave.
I mean, hey, that's what happens when you run the ball. Tom's blood pressure drops.
I went into Zen, bruh.
Zen. Shut the fuck up. I'm done. Done with you. I'm done with you.
We're Zen with this.
It was great. I didn't have to call my cardiologist Monday morning. I had to call someone else Monday morning, but that's a different story. Always a problem over at the Salucci household. But if it's on ass, it's an elbow, Dutch. But no, it was great seeing him. He was a man amongst boys. Like, it was great.
That's what I've been trying to tell y'all. This team is a good team. I've been saying this. Yes, we had a rough patch. The first couple of
A
weeks.
little bit more than a rough patch.
Anyway, my point being is this Eagles team is really good. I mean, we have Saquon Barkley. And AJ Brown. We got Devontae Smith.
You don't have Saquon Barkley. You have Lamar Jackson.
Whatever.
Henry.
Whatever, Tom. But we found a new giant killer. It's great that he is an old ex-Giant player. So yeah, he popped off. 177 rushing yards, 17 carries, 1 touchdown. Like we were talking before the show started, he brought the boom on that one.
That's what he did.
He brought the
Yeah.
boom.
KJ, what would you have done if Big Justice and Big AJ were sitting next to you in the stadium in 2 Giants jerseys? Give me an impression of that real quick.
Okay, they would be like this. Hey, Saquon's not going to bring the boom today, KJ. He won't bring the boom. And then AJ would be like, yeah, he's not going to bring the boom. He's going to suck a chicken bake. Shut up, little twerp. Shut up. He's going to knock you guys down to the ground. That's what's going to happen. That's what I would say to them. And I would tell them.
That's what we do.
New York cheesesteak up their ass. That's what I would tell them.
That was the clip of the trip. We're walking past this, and every time we walk past it, it's like the commercial for Progressive where they're like walking in and the girl has blue hair and they're like, Dad, don't. And he's like, blue hair. Like, that's literally KJ. Every time he sees a New York cheesesteak, we're like, KJ. And he's like, New York cheesesteak, what the hell is that? This time, though, he actually went up to people in line in Eagles jerseys. And he was like, yo, you don't want to do that. You're good. Don't let your taste buds suffer, because it ain't going to be what you're expecting. And people were cracking up. It was an awesome trip, an awesome experience for the Giant beatdown. It was great to see Nakobe Dean,
which I was right about, Dutch. Him being a great player when we drafted him.
Yeah. We were all right about that, numbnuts. Yeah, we all fucking said that.
No,
yeah.
Tommy, you literally said last year Nakobe Dean's a bust. Why is he on this fucking team?
Oh, we need to see that clip again.
Fucking roll tape. But the point being, let's keep it organized. Let's keep a good flow. Let's keep everybody's take structured. And my point is, I just want to shout out Nakobe Dean. I want to shout out Nolan Smith. I want to shout out the Georgia Bulldogs. And I want to shout out Brendan for the graphic on our Instagram with the Eagles on there, because that was how everybody felt. It was really nice to see these guys finally take the bull by the horns. No pun intended. But, they were all over Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, I think, has not looked that stupid in a long time. And it was very satisfying to see. Sorry, Colin. I know it was your birthday this past weekend. Happy birthday. Shout out to Colin. We'll give him a birthday shout out on the show. But, man, that had to suck ass to watch that on your birthday weekend. Daniel Jones' ass literally getting thrown in the dirt again and again.
But he got to see the Yankees go to the World Series.
Yeah, he's got the Yankees at least. But if it makes you feel any better, Colin, last year I went to the Eagles-Niners game on my birthday, and we got killed. So if that makes you feel any better, I had a bad birthday last year too. So it happens.
All I gotta say is, do not trust KJ on finding parking. Whenever you travel with him to a game that's not in Philly, that was a shit show. But that was cool. This defense showed up when we needed them to. And
why is it my what? Excuse me. I was able to help. If it wasn't for my phone call, you guys would have been in that permit.
That is
parking.
true. So
you guys
in all
would have
fairness,
been stuck behind the permit parking, would have had nothing to do. But then Mikey D, he wanted to ditch our butts. He was like, "Oh, over here is the American Dream Mall." And I'm like, "No one cares right now. We need to find parking."
Yeah, he did have not. That's not ideal time in doing that, Mike. We do love you, but you can't get out of the car while somebody's driving. So, guys, here's the context to the story. Me and Jack got there a little bit after KJ and Mike, and KJ called us and he's like, yo, this, and they did have it an idiotic parking attendant too. Shocking. And he told them something like, you're not allowed to park here unless you have a parking pass. Well, I guess that they went to the left side, but KJ was also having to make sure Mike didn't get out of the car. Because I guess you guys were there right when the gates opened, right, KJ? Correct?
Yes, we were
right
right
so
there.
it's chaos. It's chaos getting in. When Jack and I got there, we went around. It wasn't that bad. It was like 2 times. It was like a 20-minute delay. It was more stressful in the moment, and it was probably not stressful for anybody more than that motherfucker right there that's probably stressed every night wearing that jersey and that hat. He's used to it being a Philly fan. But, I mean, it was an awesome trip, an awesome vlog. We had a great time. Shout out to Chaos Chris. Shout out to Jizzle. Shout out to everybody that we met up with up there. I mean, it's going to be an awesome vlog. And then being able to do the pre and post game show. Shout out to Shardy for the help with that. It was really cool and something I'll never forget. But 8 sacks. I mean, that was satisfying. I wish the one thing I got on tape and I would have been recording it was AJ Brown's touchdown. That was more AJ Brown. Like I said, AJ Brown's touchdown, not Jalen Hurts. 89 of your 114 yards fucking are to one player. That's like 79% or something. That's not good. But back to the main point. If we would have gotten that on tape, that would have been insane because that catch was all AJ Brown. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people are underrating. This dude really knows how to box out for the ball. Like, it's like almost like basketball. He's done it twice this year where it's not a good throw, but he knows how to either slow down or speed up, either slow down and box out or when to speed up and hit the jets to leap forward to make the catch. And that's just an insane athletic ability. I think only few players can do in the NFL. And it was on display this week.
The way AJ Brown plays, it always reminds me of like that one kid when you're playing jackpot, like back in the day. It's just the guy's boxing out people, just like you said, kind of like in basketball, and he's just mossing everybody, and that's what AJ Brown does. I mean, you could just see him. He's kind of got that basketball mentality to him, and that's also really good. I mean, where he's just like, he will just go over top of you and just find a way wherever the ball is, and he'll find a way to just catch that ball. So, I mean, that's a great, I mean, we are honored to have a guy like him. So it's great to see him ball out. And I do feel like with the 8 sacks, it was great to see because me and Jack were kind of, we were kind of studying one player, and this was on the defensive side. And that was Bryce Huff. And to see him get a sack at his old stadium that he played in was pretty cool. I mean, that was pretty cool to see him get a sack because I did not think it was going to happen because me and Jack were like, wow, he's like jogging in some plays. And yeah, Dalt did call it. Dalt said that Bryce Huff was going to get a sack. And yeah, he did say it.
I want to do the SpongeBob when in the Sweet Victory episode when he's like wearing his band suit and he's like that. He's like, that's me right now. yeah, that's stupid shit. But you gotta have faith in your guy. I mean, back at his home stadium for a couple years, Jet Life Stadium. Fuck the Giants. I had some faith in him. Jack, I mean, you weren't too confident in him. Are you confident in him now?
No.
Yeah.
No. You played against a shitty offensive line at best. And he got a sack. He probably should have had more than just one sack. But like KJ just said, he just jogged through his progression. Like didn't even look like he wanted to be there. Like he looked like he wanted to be on the bench and not participating. But it's
how about
like,
Nakobe Dean?
I mean, Nakobe Dean, I mean, we knew this. Why he dropped so low. We expected more out of him the past couple years, but I mean, we knew that this is probably his make or break year for Nakobe Dean because if he didn't do anything this year and was injured again, I mean, he's probably gone. You know, I think he still has one more year left on his contract. But yeah, I mean, Nakobe Dean's good. Zach Bond, I was surprised. I didn't really see much out of him. But again, when you have, you know, you got Jacoby Dean, who just lays the lumber every time he hits somebody. Even Darius Slay had some big hits.
He brings
So
the
I mean,
boom.
this
That's what
defense.
he does.
This was the first full game that I've experienced on both ends of the field with the offense and defense, and I knew we had it in us. It was nice to bring it out against the Giants, but we need to keep doing that as from here on out because we have one of the best offenses in the league, and we have an average defense. So we need to start showing up and playing great ball.
Yeah. KJ, if we were at the stadium and Big Justice and Big AJ were sitting next to us and fucking Singletary just got cracked behind Jacoby Dean, what would he say?
KJ, how do you feel about the schedule change for the Bengals?
That's a better, it's a better question. The schedule. You mean for the Jaguars game though? You mean?
No, they
Both
scheduled
of them, both.
Both of them got
scheduled-
changed.
Both
Yeah.
of them, KJ. There were two.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
scheduled
Wait,
changes.
so what? It was 1 o'clock and now it's 4 now?
4:05. Yeah.
The
Wow.
one
I didn't
on
even-
Sundays 1 o'clock, and then the one right, and then
I
the
knew
one
about
next
the
week is
I
at
knew about the
4:05.
Jaguars. I knew about the Jaguars game because I was the first one to actually say in the chat. I remember in the 302 group chat, I was the first one just to say I was the first one to report it.
Who sent you the text?
I found it on my own because
Mhm.
I'm like that. I'm like that. But no,
I'm not mad about it though.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not mad about either because I'm going to that game, so I'm not mad about it. I don't want to be coming back home at like 12 o'clock at night. So I don't really like having the games at like 8 o'clock because it's just too late at times. That's how I see it. But yeah, the schedule
I agree.
change. I mean, they gotta do it because obviously the Jaguars aren't as good as people thought they were going to be. Trevor Lawrence isn't really living up to the hype that people thought he was going to be living up to. I mean, the Bengals game, though, I don't feel like. I mean, maybe they moved that game because more of like a primetime game, probably because they want that to be, I guess, more televised. So I guess that's why they moved that game for a positive outlook, and then for the Jaguars game, they moved it as a negative outlook because they were at 8 o'clock and they bumped them down. So I think there's good moves for both sides.
Do we think one of these games is going to be Kelly Green?
I think it won't be the Bengals game because they will not wear it away. They're not going to wear it. They want them to be home games. I think it probably will be still the Jaguars game, even though the times did change. I think they have it set to be Kelly Green still because I know for sure it's against Dallas.
I haven't seen any announcement yet.
Yeah,
They haven't
for
said
sure it is
anything
against.
yes or no, so it shouldn't change
Yeah.
with that.
When we play Dallas at home, though, we will be Kelly Green, as I've been told.
Okay.
I mean, what I've heard.
I'll be at that game too, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
I mean,
That'll be
this
a lot
is
of
kind
fun.
of a big game coming up. One, we got the brothers battle, brothers battle. Two, the Bengals aren't having the greatest season this year, but I don't think the Bengals are that bad of a team. I mean, you got Joe Burrow, you got a pretty good head coach. So I think this is going to be closer than we think because the Bengals, they start out kind of slow. Usually it's like 2 losses in a row and then they start picking it up. But this year it's been different. But I think it'd be interesting seeing both these brothers play. I know one is you know what I want to see? If Sidney Brown is back this week, I want to see him lay the lumber against his brother because his brother's a running back. And his brother's not a bad player. I mean, I saw a few games this season, and that dude's quick. Like, he's very quick. I did not know that Sidney Brown had a twin brother until like a couple weeks ago. So I think this is going to be a close game, and I think it's going to be a cool game to see the brothers battle against each other.
Yeah, now I see where he gets some of those pick six skills from.
Yeah.
When I saw his brother running, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, there's some of that DNA in there. Alyssa and I were there at the Cardinals game on New Year's this past year when he had his first ever pick six that
Yeah.
really, I think, set the tone for everybody of, if you didn't know, this is the kind of player that Sidney Brown can be. Not only does he have that pick six ability, but he has the big hit power too. I'm talking about Nakobe Dean earlier, kind of being a guy who can lay the lumber, like Jack said, or lay the boomstick. This guy can do it too. He really has a way to just kind of lower the shoulder. And I'm excited for it too, but I'm mostly excited to see him out there just back in the game, making a name for himself, because he's somebody that I would compare for Eagles fans to Brian Dawkins, but I think the best NFL comparison to him, and it's not just because of the hair, but it's going to be Troy Polamalu. I think the way that he plays is super similar. Not the biggest guy in the world, but just really knows how to lower his shoulder, has a nose for the football, and is really smart and intuitive in coverage. So he reminds me so much of Polamalu and just the way that he plays scrappy but smart. And I think that he's going to be a guy that develops for the Birds.
But Dutch, you would agree that Blankenship's our main guy and forever will be, right? Because that's who Dennis always likes.
Oh yeah, yep. Dennis loves Blankenship. Ship.
Yep.
Yeah, Dennis, if you're listening to this podcast at this point, I don't know if he's tuned out. But there you go, Dennis. Yeah. Your boy Sidney Brown.
Blankenship.
Sidney
He
Brown,
actually
though.
has a Sidney Brown jersey. I don't know if you noticed. He
does have it, yeah. I think
Yeah.
Sidney Brown's just somebody that's fun to watch, and I think he's going to be fun to watch for years to come for Eagles fans. So stay tuned for that. I give Sidney Brown a boom, KJ. But
Oh my God!
Boom!
Oh Jesus Christ!
You know,
me and
okay,
KJ are stuck on a repeating record, but we talked about the flex. We talked about all that. Now let's get into, like Jack said, the schedule prediction. Jamar Chase, are you guys afraid of him? Yes or no?
Yeah. You should be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not your typical Jamar Chase that we've seen the past couple seasons. He had a dispute with his contract. He's still putting up numbers, but he's kind of been, I wouldn't say silent the past couple weeks, but he hasn't really been, targeted that much. And I don't know if they're playing good defense on him or what. But I mean, you're always going to be scared of Jamar Chase because he is a really good receiver. He is that deep threat, and we just need to cover him. I think we would put Quinyon Mitchell on him, or maybe Darius Slay, because I think there's a stat that Quinyon Mitchell has only let up only let up 25 yards when he was.
Dude's a beast.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
When his player was targeted, he's only let up 25 yards. So, I mean, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, I think you can kind of interchangeable match them up with each other. But I think we'll see probably Darius Slay on T. Higgins, and then we'll see Quinyon on Jamar Chase. So I think this is going to be a gritty game. It's going to be a pissing match. I mean, the Bengals are not having the greatest season, like I said, but they're the Bengals. So my score prediction for this game, I'm going to say 28-21 Eagles.
Yeah, I'll say this. I think both games that we just had, the Browns and the Giants, obviously not that great of opponents. I mean, they're both mediocre teams, but I do feel like they've given this team the confidence boost that we needed. And I also feel like that with the coaching staff as well, kind of gave them the boost that they needed as well. So I know they're going to Cincinnati. They're going to what they call the jungle over there in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati's kind of coming up with a slow start right now, but I do feel like Jamar Chase could be a threat. I do feel like T. Higgins could be a threat. I also feel like Joe Burrow can just be a threat in general. So, I mean, we just got to watch out for those guys. And I think if they play with the same kind of tenacity they've been playing with, especially if they play the way they played against the Giants, which I don't know if they can repeat that again because that was just insane. And I really just think it's really because of how bad the offensive line is for the Giants. Because I don't think the Bengals offensive line, It's bad. It's not as bad as the Giants, but it is bad. So that is another advantage, though, for the Eagles to actually jump on and actually like pounce at that. I mean, I didn't try and go with that that whole thing on purpose, but yeah, I think they could totally try and go at their weakness right there, and that's their offensive line for sure. So we'll see what they do. I do think the Eagles. I think they win this game, but it's gonna be very close. I think they only win by 6 points, and I think that's because they'll win and they'll have a margin of 3 more field goals or something like that. I think they're gonna win 26-20. And I don't know how. I just think I think the Bengals are going to have 20 points. So I think the Eagles win 26-20.
I like that score. That's a great score.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be close. The Bengals are the best bad record team there is, probably. Like, they have talented defensive players. They have absolute weapons on offense with Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. So, like, they could pop off at any time. They're not gonna go quietly. It's not gonna be like what you call it? It's not gonna be like, how do I want to describe it? It's not gonna be a close, like, it's not gonna be like a blowout like last week. It's gonna be what you call it? It's gonna be a close game.
You sure, Tommy? You sure? That's what you
I'm
wanted to
sure.
say? You're trying
I'm
to
sure.
reach.
I did get some fratty facts from James, which he actually brought up a really good point that historically the Eagles do struggle against the Bengals. I remember explicitly a couple times as kids, the Eagles tying against the Bengals.
Yep.
This is my text from Fratty. What's up, Dalton? Got a few Eagles versus Bengals nuggets for you guys to add to the show Wednesday night. Eagles are 0-4-1 at the Bengals all time, and the Eagles haven't beaten the Bengals since Christmas Eve 2000. And I can't forget, we tied with the Bengals twice since 2008. So, yeah, not very good. Now, I feel like the 0-4-1, there should be an 0-4-2 technically if we've tied with the Bengals since 2008.
I think he was talking about 0-4-1 at the Bengals.
Yeah, at the Bengals.
So we tied them one time in Philadelphia too.
Yes, with Carson.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Tied it once with Carson here. Tied it there because Donovan McNabb forgot the overtime rules.
And Carson, wait, was it Andy Dalton was their QB, I think, or was it Carson Palmer?
Dalton.
Andy Dalton when Carson
Andy Dalton
went,
Holland.
And then
fuck you, man.
Carson Palmer when Donovan was there because Donovan forgot what the overtime rules were.
There it is. He's always
Number
got to throw
five,
a jab
always
in
love you.
for
Number
Donovan
five.
McNabb. Classic ballpark
But
Tommy.
he didn't forget how to drink that whiskey bottle, but he did forget how to call an Uber.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I think there's a stat also, too, Dalt, that Jason Kelsey, the only two teams that he never defeated ever, like in his Eagles career, was the Bengals and the Seahawks. Those are the only teams that have not.
He never beat.
Well,
yeah, I guess because we've never really played those teams a lot, so that would.
Well, no, we played the
actually make
Seahawks
sense.
more than the Bengals for sure. It's just the Seahawks have always owned us for a while. They've owned us.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all we got for you guys. Jack, I know we might have trivia on here. We can save it for next week just because we'll do it then. I got to get the scoreboard ready and all that. I apologize for you guys as far as the technicality difficulties tonight and a little bit of disorganization. It's been a wild week, but we still got a show for you guys as always. That's on me. That's my fault. I'll be better about that next week, and we'll make sure to come out swinging for you guys next week with a great show. Next week is also going to be our Halloween special. If you guys don't know how we do it around here on 302 Birds, everybody dresses up in a costume, so stay tuned for that. No spoilers. Don't tell me what you guys are going to be. Just show up next week on the show, October 30th. Come hang out with us. 9-10. And the last thing I want to say is it is your last chance to go cop the Halloween shirt. The link is in the bio. It's my favorite shirt of all time for 302 Birds. So if you want to make me smile, go buy one and rock it. Let me see you rock it because it's a cool looking shirt. And believe it or not, fall's almost over. That flew by, but Halloween's almost over. So we'll see. We'll see. But Jackson, you want to take us out of here?
Sure. It's going to be a tough game against the Bengals this week. I think we'll get the W for sure. But, you know, I love you guys. Hey, Josh, it's an outro, not an intro. Hit that motherfucking outro.
What we got? 302BIRDS, Gino Stinks. Go Birds. Oh my gosh, Chad. Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
Your favorite Chicagoan. Go Phils.
As always, God bless. Go Birds.